happy the end of the month to everyone. Finally, winter's over. Or last day of winter, which will be over tomorrow. So it'll be our spring, I'm pretty sure, in Australia. I'm trying to buy this new heart rate monitor. So hopefully show it up on the screen and whatnot. We'll see how it goes. Order it today. Should be in by tomorrow. Bless you, Amazon Prime, and your free monthly. Today, pretty much, I'm gonna... Should be doing pull-ups, but I guess I'll save that for Friday. I'm gonna do dips. Jumping lunges. Haven't done that in a while. Jumping lunges or jumping squats, either one. Gonna do upper back with the elastic cables and the ab wheel. That'll be the 4 exercises for today. I seem to be doing this thing where it's just like Monday's my laziest day, so easy stuff, medium stuff today, then Friday's my hardest stuff. I'll probably be chin-ups, deadlift, all the toys, I think. Anyway. Cheddar here as well, he's just peeking around the corner, just sitting there. As usual, I'll be watching and listening to stuff in the background. Feel free to ask me any questions during the workout, always happy to answer.
The fact of the situation. Just because they want to like stream and have some fun with other people on the internet, they're gonna get killed. That's because we're still seeing this trend of people making false 911 calls on streamers. Swatting is back in the news. People having a goal to send a massive crowd of police to a person's house for no reason, all because some asshole either wants someone to get hurt or they just find it entertaining for people with loaded weapons to bust in on someone live streaming. Most recently, this happened to a creator by the name of Ludwig who got swatted while he was streaming a chess tournament. But here's the thing: swatting, it's not a new thing, and it's also not a new thing for him. It's not his first rodeo. This has happened before. He said, I'm not too shaken up by this incident. And granted, he had some words for the person responsible.
To the motherfucker who swatted me, who's watching this, who wasted about 55 minutes of my day, congratulations. You did it. 55 minutes of my day down the drain. Here's the thing about you, though. You got 55 years ahead of you that you are poised to waste. 55 years that you are set up to just blow through, doing absolutely nothing with your life. You might as well, while you're here, do something effective with your time. Make an imprint. Be a positive impact. Change the lives of those around you. Now, if you get your rocks up on this, good job. All right? This will be the one thing you do, then you die, then that's it. Pee pee poop. Bye-bye. GG no re. It feels to me empty. If that's what you want, is 55 minutes of my Sunday, take it up. Go for it. TikTok does the same thing. All right, to me, every single day, 55 minutes down the drain, not that big of a deal.
But Lud also later saying the primary feeling that he has right now is just utter annoyance. And I'm specifically calling out what he described as the ineptitude of the Los Angeles Police Department, saying every time this happens, there's a ton of cop cars outside, there's a helicopter swirling, but
because every time it's happened before, they say, hey, give us a phone number, and we'll call you when it happens again. Because of that, I always have my phone on me while I stream, right here. I'm prepared for a phone call. The problem is they've never called.
They're saying that the LAPD has the solution right at their fingertips. They've even proposed it, but they're not actually following through on it. And instead of being like, oh, hey, we'll keep that in mind for next time, Ludwig says their response is usually telling him to just get a different job. But also, he knows that there is a disconnect in communication. That the operator receiving the call isn't in on this, that the police that then get dispatched are just doing what they're being sent to do.
I would love so very dearly to yell at who comes to my house and be like, you fucking dumbass, you come multiple times. I told you my number, you know I'm a YouTuber. You can literally go to my stream and see a camera that displays what I'm doing.
And adding that whoever shows up probably isn't the person that could stop this from happening again.
So I'm basically yelling at the equivalent of a barista at a Starbucks that happens to have a gun, telling them they're being dumb, when they are like, well, I don't give a shit, bro. You can talk to corporate or my manager because I'm neither of those.
With Ludwig also saying the LAPD actually damaged his place this time. Detailing how when they walked through his attic, which is the set for his The Yard podcast, they literally fell through the ceiling and made a massive mess. Though Ludwig saying he considers that a silver lining, even if he's saying that just to kind of joke through it.
So now I get to get paid by the police department
Now, this is why I say every time someone is going to get killed again. Because remember, it's happened before. Innocent lives have been lost because of assholes who decide to swap. It's not a prank. You are putting a person's life at risk, and seemingly no one can feel safe if someone as large as Ludwig is still not able to stop anything. But, you know, with this shitty story, of course, I'd love to know your thoughts on what we're seeing here.
It would have never got this out of hand if it wasn't for the Franco guy.
You want me to make you? Sounds good. You want to say anything? Oh, you don't want to say anything? Oh, you don't want... is this kind of filming boring? Oh, what kind of filming's fun? Okay.
So shout out Philly D. Okay, Philly, can I get some more thumbnails, please? I gotta get more outrageous here.
Ooh, mommy, ooh, daddy, may I have another? Is something that someone is going to be saying in Missouri in the very near future because of this news. Or at the very least, they should do it to fuck with the asshole that's actually going to be a part of it. Or so if you haven't seen the news, there's this school district in Missouri that is bringing back spanking. Or paddling, to be more specific, with the superintendent announcing last week that, hey, we're bringing this back because parents said we want more punishments other than suspension. Also saying, hey, we're not going to be slapping cheeks willy-nilly. Don't worry. You just need to give us permission first, and then a teacher can use reasonable physical force on the student, but do it in a way that, quote, has no chance of bodily injury or harm. Also, there has to be a witness of this overworked, underpaid person putting hands on your child. I guess to make sure they don't go too hard or have too much fun. Also, if you're like how I originally was, where I was like, okay, maybe this is like a rule change, but it's not going to be used. Like, who's actually out there hitting kids at school? Well, it turns out, not zero. In fact, according to the most recent data we have on this, the 2017 to 2018 school year, about 70,000 children in public school were punished physically during that school year. With the 2016 study reportedly finding that boys, black children, and children with disabilities were more likely to be paddled than other children. And in fact, corporal punishment is still legal in 19 states, because thanks to a Supreme Court decision in 1977, it is a state-by-state decision. And honestly, I'll say all of this kind of insane to me. But I mean, just off the bat, I'm against physical violence to try and discipline children, and so is the American Academy of Pediatrics and the American Psychology Association, saying it's not effective, it can give students trauma, and most of the pushback are from people like, I got hit and I'm fine. That's cool, I got hit and it just led to me hating my mom and needing a lot of therapy. I am who I am today, not because, but in spite of my childhood. But then also, with the people I don't see eye to eye with regarding this, some of y'all are also going to give a fucking stranger, some random teacher, the ability to hit your child. Just the thought of some other person putting their hands on my child, I'll fucking kill you. Like, I love my dad from the bottom of my heart. He's also not a hitter, but if he hit my son, I'm gonna drop your ass. Are you kidding me? And I feel for
I
these
definitely got
kids,
my
because
fair share
now
of
all a sudden
beatings
they're not
growing
even
up.
safe at school. So that's why, yeah, the beginning of this video kind of started with a joke.
Well, I like to think I turned out okay.
Daddy. But if you're one of these fucking poor kids, the only thing you can do is make it weird for these fucking sickos. And honestly, I think the people pushing for this should probably be investigated. You sick weirdos. And then, you know, when you're running a small business, every second counts. You can't afford to waste a single moment. Which is why I want to thank today's sponsor, Stamps.com/Phil. If you're a small business owner, you know how important it is to be ready for the insane holiday season. And personally, with Stamps.com, I love how convenient and cost-effective this is for me and my business. I can get all the mailing and shipping done without even leaving my house, which you know I love doing. I made a whole office so I could be here all the time. And you can print official U.S. postage from your computer 24/7, no special supplies or equipment needed. And preparing for the chaos of holiday mailing and shipping is important. And with Stamps.com/Phil, you get exclusive discounts on post office rates, like 30% off USPS rates and 86% off UPS rates. And more than ever, especially with inflation, every dollar counts. Stamps.com saves me time and money, freeing me up to produce the show, make the next drop, or just live life. So get ahead of the holiday chaos this year and go to Stamps.com/Phil to get a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale. There's no risk, no long-term commitment, no contracts, and never go to the post office again. Also, in other school news that's not all that mess, we should talk about Columbus, Ohio. Last week, we talked about the Columbus Education Association voting to strike after failing to reach a contract agreement with the school board following months of negotiations. But the strike being the district's first in decades and meant that the first day of school for kids in the district took place online with substitutes while roughly 4,500 staff members picketed. Now, the big news is after a week-long strike, an agreement has been made. It's a new 3-year contract that was approved by around 71% of union members, and it actually included many of the CEA asks, including guarantees all student learning areas will be climate controlled with adequate heating and cooling systems by the beginning of the 2025-2026 school year, a reduction in class sizes across all grades, paid parental leave for teachers as well as salary increases, and provisions to ensure that there are more full-time art, music, and PE teachers in each school. And here's what I'll say. This is good news for members of the CEA. They should definitely be celebrating this, but also I think it's important to remember this is all happening while we're also seeing an incredibly alarming nationwide shortage of educators and school staff, many of whom feel they are underpaid and undervalued in a country with skyrocketing inflation inflation, and increased polarization about what's being taught in schools. We're seeing crackdowns on history lessons, book bans. Regarding staff, a recent survey by Education Week this summer, it found that nearly 3 out of every 4 principals said that they had an insufficient number of candidates for teachers, bus drivers, food service workers, and other essential staff this year. It's so bad that according to reports, multiple short-staffed school districts are now literally hiring students to do custodial and administrative work. Which, hey, I try to see the silver linings in life. When I was young, I was a go-getter. I started working at the age of 14. I could see this being a helpful way for them to get money and gain job experience. But even if you try to see that as a silver lining, there's also tons of jobs that students can't do. Like there was a new survey that found that 88% of schools are dealing with bus driver shortages. And that's with around 67% of schools also saying they believe that there is a direct link between the lack of reliable transit and student attendance. And that makes sense because as Axios reported today, the shortage, that means routes are being eliminated, walking boundaries are being expanded, and students are facing longer travel and wait time. But get this, and it's going to shock you. Do you know what districts are not having these problems? Places that have increased pay and benefits for drivers. Isn't it crazy how that works?
Surprise, motherfucker!
But I really don't have a ton of hope for a system where teachers literally have to go on strike because they don't want to fucking freeze to death during the winter. Or the way that you get school supplies for your classroom is to make a fucking Amazon wish list. We're failing the kids in our country in so many different ways. It's almost impressive.
Pakistan has been devastated by what it calls a climate catastrophe. Serious climate catastrophe.
Is a catastrophe caused by climate change.
So if you want to get a glimpse of what climate change is going to look like this century, here you go. Because Pakistan right now is struggling to stay afloat in one of the worst humanitarian disasters this century, with floods of biblical proportion just washing away entire villages and farmlands, reportedly destroying more than 1,800 miles of road, at least 130 bridges, and damaging nearly half a
Pomeranians
million homes
outside.
as of
Chalice is
Monday. This
checking
has
out
affected
whiskey.
33 million people. It's displaced 3 million. 1,000 people have died since June. 200 just over the weekend.
Sure,
This
wishes he was
explains.
outside right now.
The rain destroyed my house. My livestock were all lost. My fields devastated. Only our lives were saved. Nothing else is left.
Now you're seeing people up to their necks in water, others being pulled to safety by rescuers forced to use things like a bed frame and some rope. Got this boy stranded on some rocks in the middle of a gushing stream being rescued by a helicopter, with powerful floodwaters even bringing down a multi-story building. And all this coming during the country's 8th monsoon cycle, even though it normally only has around 3 to 4 cycles of rain, according to the Climate Change Ministry, with reports that some regions have received 600% more rainfall than usual. But also, in addition to the rainfall, some of this flooding has come from bursting glaciers. Pakistan's actually home to more of them than anywhere else outside the poles, with over 7,000. So with rising global temperatures caused by climate change, a historic heat wave thrashing South Asia since May, we've seen many rapidly melting, creating glacial lakes that are just waiting to dump millions of cubic meters of water and debris on unsuspecting communities in a matter of hours, which is exactly what happened to one mountainside village this year that was devastated. Now, as far as the government's response, you have Pakistan's climate change minister saying, we've had to deploy the Navy for the first time to operate in Indo-Pakistan because much of it resembles a small ocean, saying by the time this is over, we could well have 1/4 or 1/3 of Pakistan underwater, and adding,
So certainly we're at this ground zero of a climate dystopia.
and so over the weekend, you saw the government declaring a national emergency and deploying at least 6,500 soldiers to help civilian authorities in rescue and relief operations across the country. Also calling on the rest of the world to send aid, which some countries like Turkey and the United Arab Emirates did, landing cargo planes on Monday full of tents, food, and other supplies, as well as the United Nations last week saying it allocated $3 million for UN aid agencies and their partners in Pakistan to respond. Those funds reportedly directed toward health, nutrition, food security, and water and sanitation services in flood-affected areas. And so, of course, with this, the catastrophe in Pakistan is especially bad, and it's important to note this. But also, let's not forget, this is a global crisis. This year, we've seen heat waves, droughts, and wildfires in most regions of the world, like the United States, Latin America, Europe, Africa, India, China, Australia. And even though I hate saying it, I cannot stress this enough, it is only going to get worse. But also, do not confuse that with don't do anything, don't prepare, don't mitigate the harm. We can strengthen our infrastructure, increase relief funding, and of course, stop emitting greenhouse gases the way that we are right now. And unfortunately, that happy note is where this story and today's show ends. As always, thank you for watching and being subscribed for my daily dives into the news. Also, if you need more news, I got it covered here or in those links down below. But of course, as always, my name is Philip DeFranco. You've just been... YouTube is racist. That is is a question or rallying cry of a number of people online right now, though at the same time, you have people responding saying it's called inclusion, you fat-phobic D-bag. So let's talk about why everyone's angry today. So this specific controversy involves Abercrombie because they put up this post of their fans wearing their clothes. The post showcased various body types, but seemingly due to the inclusion of this specific woman, many felt like the brand was normalizing obesity. Also, I want to be clear here, I went through the comments and it appeared that many of the responses were just meant to be mean. Though we did see a small percentage actually laying out their concerns about how this promotes an unhealthy lifestyle. Writing things like, another example of companies promoting fat acceptance with a side of diabetes and a heart attack, self-acceptance at what cost to our health. And let's think about the global annual cost of treating obesity-related diseases. Anything that causes a loss of health should not be promoted. And some questioning why Abercrombie, of all fucking places, right, they have a history of fat shaming and only featuring skinny models until recently, seemingly are going, quote, too far in the other direction. Asking things like, why do they have to swing from one extreme to another? Everyone knows models are usually anorexic or binge and purge, so instead of putting beautiful, healthy weight gals in ads, they swing to complete opposite of unhealthy, as well as where are the models with a mid-range BMI? But once again, to be fair here, the ad did have pretty much every body type. People are just hyper-focused on this specific picture. But at the same time, it wasn't all negative. You had people coming to the brand in Cecilia's defense, saying things like, the internet has a lot of fat-phobic body shaming. Abercrombie tried to be inclusive and people showed their true colors. With others also just kind of being more pragmatic and asking, making clothes for people who are obese is a bad thing now? And over half the people I see walking around are overweight. Obesity is normal. Just like everyone feels fat, think they look fat, or jokingly or not, calls themselves fat. Why wouldn't a denim brand make clothes that fit everyone? How is that normalizing obesity? But ultimately, with this whole controversy, we ended up seeing the company take down the post. Because also what was extra shitty is the people featured apparently were just fans showing off their clothes. And so the company obviously not wanting them to be harassed, and they wrote in a post, "We love when you tag us in your pics and we love celebrating you in our customer photos. Recently, we observed some unfriendly comments about community members we posted. Let us be clear. We love and appreciate our community members exactly as they are, and that won't be changing. We will continue to delete and block those who don't pass the vibe check. Everyone else, you're loved and appreciated." Well, you know, this was a viewer recommended story. This story was something that connected to me because over the last 36 years, some of y'all have been here for the last 15. I've been pretty much every size a human can be, and I also own a clothing company. Where I'll start this is if you were leaving cruel comments about this woman, you should go fuck yourself. She's not hurting anybody. She seems to be just living her life, feeling her damn self. I'm a big believer that you can be a bad bitch no matter your size, whether you look more like a Cecilia or a Belle Delphine or fucking whoever. And as far as the company goes, yeah, you can have a social media person being like, yeah, we love all our ladies. That's just corporate bullshit. Economically, it just makes sense to be size inclusive as a brand. It took us forever to get 3X and 4X items in our inventory when we were selling on Beautiful Bastion. And when we did, we saw sales go up 20%. Like the idea that Abercrombie is like pushing a campaign because they want people to get bigger and unhealthy. That's insane. They just want possible customers to go, oh, I can actually fit in your shit and possibly like myself for a minute. Or maybe I'm just speaking from my personal experience on why I buy clothes. And also, consumerism aside, there is a difference between promoting an unhealthy lifestyle and going, hey, you're valid. You exist. You're not alone. Though I will say with Abercrombie specifically, I don't think it's because they care about people, but it is the consumerism part. They're holding a mirror up to the audience they want to capture, which makes sense. According to the CDC, between 2017 and March of 2020, 41.9% of the U.S. public was obese. And during that same time, the prevalence of severe obesity increasing to 9.2%. And to the people that bully and think that they're helping in some way, you're fucking not. I don't know if you've seen it in the comments. There are people on the internet that call me skinny legend. But they don't call me that because I've now lost 50 pounds since the pandemic. It started when someone backtracked and apologized after publicly fat-shaming me to millions of people. And let me be clear, none of that fucking helped, because I knew I was unhealthy and I didn't enjoy it. Like, there was never a moment where I was like, man, if only more people called me disgusting, then I'll get healthy. It's a hard personal journey, and that doesn't even consider other people's, like, specific health situations. My personal change has come from a place of my value when I was 260 and my value at 209, the same. And I'm way happier now that, I'm getting my health situation figured out. I've made a lot of progress, but like, it came from a place of need and love. I hit a point where I was like, my quality of life is gonna suck unless I change things. And for some reason, people think that, like, all humans live to 100. It's closer to 75 for a man in America. I don't wanna live long enough so I can annoy the fuck out of y'all for decades, my kids, my wife. I guess just to close down this mini rant, life's hard enough. You don't need to also be needlessly cruel to strangers on the internet. You can want a friend or an individual or people in our society to be healthier without being a dick about it. But also, to be clear, this is not a defense of Abercrombie. They're just trying to use and exploit people because they're a corporation and that's what they do. For me, the part that actually matters are the real people constantly getting torn down by the internet. A new American Civil War is coming. It is happening, according to 50% of people who voted for Trump in 2020. With them specifically saying that a civil war is likely within the next decade, according to a new YouGov poll. But also an important aspect of this is it's not just Trumpers. About a third of people who voted for Biden said it is very likely or somewhat likely that a civil war is going to happen. And 60% of Americans anticipating an increase in political violence in the next few years. And all of this is concerning. It's just a question of how concerned. Because most experts seem to be of the mindset that a full-scale armed conflict between political groups is very unlikely. But what is more likely is that political violence could instead manifest as sporadic flare-ups. But also, another civil war is not impossible. Or you have the likes of Barbara F. Walter, a political science professor and an expert on civil wars, grabbing headlines earlier this year with her book arguing that the U.S. is nearing the preconditions for a civil war. Meanwhile, we saw warnings by the DOJ and Homeland Security last year saying that Trump's demands to be reinstated could cause his supporters to become violent. I mean, even most recently, Lindsey Graham saying that if Donald Trump was prosecuted, we would see riots in the streets. And regarding some of the anger that we're seeing from Trump supporters, one of the most recent flare-ups stems from the king of podcasting and DMT monkeys, Joe Rogan. And that's because on Friday, he sat down with Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg to chat on his podcast, where the topic of social media censorship came up, with Rogan asking him about the Hunter Biden laptop story, with Rogan specifically asking how Facebook handled it at the time, which was right before the 2020 election. And Zuck responds that the FBI had reached out to Facebook, telling it to be on high alert because there's about to be a drop similar to the Russian propaganda campaign in 2016, with him then directly addressing the laptop story, and he reveals,
I think it was 5 or 7 days when it was basically being determined whether it was false. The distribution on Facebook was decreased, but people were still allowed to share it. So you could still share it, you could still consume it.
When you say the distribution is decreased,
It got shared.
How does that work?
It basically, the ranking in newsfeed was a little bit less.
Rogan shortly after asking this about the FBI.
Did they specifically say you need to be on guard about that story?
No, I don't remember if it was that specifically, but it basically fit the pattern.
Or with that, or a version of it eventually getting to Donald Trump, with him then posting on Truth Social and framing it as, so now it comes out conclusively that the FBI buried the Hunter Biden laptop story before the election, knowing that if they didn't, Trump would have easily won the 2020 presidential election. This is massive fraud and election interference at a level never seen before in our country. The remedy? Declare the rightful winner, or, and this would be the minimal solution, declare the 2020 election irreparably, compromise, and have a new election immediately. Or so you got the former president demanding to be reinstated nearly 22 months after the election. Also, to be clear, since this interview went live, both Meta and the FBI have issued statements. The FBI saying it provided companies with foreign threat indicators to help protect their platforms and customers, but that it cannot ask or direct companies to take action on information received. And Meta is saying the same night that this was received, though it got a lot less press, the FBI shared general warnings about foreign interference, nothing specific about Hunter Biden. With that, sharing clips of Zuckerberg from October of 2020 speaking to Senator Ron Johnson, along with what he said to Joe Rogan. But hey, that's a story as it is now, and I guess we live in a world where a coin flip will decide if there's a civil war or not in the next 10 years. Fun. And then, I want to take a second to thank the fantastic sponsor of today's show, Established Titles. Established Titles is based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lords and ladies in England. And it's a great gift for everyone, but especially those hard-to-shop-for people. Title packs give you at least 1 square foot of dedicated land on a private estate in Edelston, Scotland, as well as an official certificate with the crest. You can officially change your name to Lord or Lady and get it on your credit card, plane tickets, and more. Your certificate features a unique plot number with the exact location of your land, and they have a couple packs with adjoining plots of land. And they work with global charities One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future and plant a tree with every order. Plus, Established Titles told me the first 200 people purchasing a title pack using my link will effectively be next to my plot within a few minutes of walking distance. And if not for everything else, it makes an amazing last-minute gift. Plus, Established Titles is running a massive sale, and when you go to establishedtitles.com/DeFranco and use code DeFranco, you get an additional 10% off. Oh my God, Mississippi is in huge trouble right now. That's because there's a very serious water crisis in Mississippi's largest city. Yesterday, Governor Tate Reeves declared a state of emergency in the capital city of Jackson after its main water treatment plant failed following torrential rains that caused the Pearl River to swell. With Reeves saying in his emergency briefing that this city of 150,000 people would be without reliable running water at scale for the near future, and added, it means the city cannot produce enough water to fight fires, to reliably flush toilets, and to meet other critical needs. And adding that anyone that still does have water should absolutely not drink it or use it for cooking or brushing your teeth without boiling it first. Because in many cases, that water is raw water from the reservoir that's just been pushed through the pipe. And while adding that officials are prepared to give out alternative sources of water as long as we have to, it's unclear right now how long this situation is going to last. But in the meantime, the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency will begin distributing both drinking water and non-potable water to the residents of Jackson and calling in the National Guard to help that process. And not to make you more anxious about it, but it's a process he described as a massively complicated logistical task. You've got all these places with little to no water pressure, flooding. You have Jackson Public Schools announcing that all of its schools will move to online learning for the time being. But here's one of the biggest things with this story. Well, the water crisis here is absolutely massive. It is not unexpected at all. The water system in Jackson has essentially been in crisis for years now because of old and inadequate infrastructure and a serious lack of resources to fix it. Hell, back in February of 2021, winter storm shut down the entire water system and left tens of thousands without running water for a whole month. And they're already frequently advised to boil the water they do get when they get it. Like literally, residents of the city were already placed on a water boil notice before all this other shit happened, because previous tests already found cloudiness in water samples that could cause health problems. Which is why we're seeing some state legislators urging Reeves to call a special session specifically so legislators can fix Jackson's water system. And it appears that help at the state level is absolutely necessary here, and it's been necessary, because leaders in Jackson have made it abundantly clear for a while now that they just don't have the resources to fix this on their own, with the mayor of Jackson last week saying that fixing the water system could cost up to $200 million. And this at a time where the federal government has allocated $75 million under Biden's bipartisan infrastructure bill for the whole of the state to address water issues. So for now, we'll have to wait to see what happens next, and if you're in Mississippi right now, please be careful, please be safe. We're being tracked right now.
Jesus Christ, it's Jason Bourne.
And maybe it's because we project our own thoughts onto others as commonplace, but I think this is something like we all know. Maybe you're not actively thinking about it, but in the back of your head, you're like, yeah, it's one of the reasons why it's so stupid to say that, like, in the vaccines, there were definitely chips tracking us. Motherfucker, they've been tracking us. If you got a cell phone in your pocket, probably the case. And they know a lot, right? Not just like what you're searching, but where you're actually going. Which is why, yeah, you already had people concerned about the tracking and sale of personal data, but even more now that Roe v. Wade has been overturned. Those worries have actually now reached the federal government, with the FTC filing a lawsuit against the data broker Kochava for selling sensitive location information from mobile devices, and specifically accusing Kochava of selling geolocation data from hundreds of millions of mobile devices that can be used to trace the movements of individuals to and from sensitive locations, and adding that Kochava's data can reveal people's visits to reproductive health clinics, places of worship, homeless and domestic violence shelters, and addiction recovery facilities. And the FTC alleging that by selling data tracking people, Kochava is enabling others to identify individuals and exposing them to threats of stigma, stalking, discrimination, job loss, and even physical violence. The agency is seeking not only to halt the company's sale of sensitive geolocation data, but also require it to delete the sensitive geolocation information it's already collected. Going on to say that the data may also be used to identify medical professionals who perform or assist in the performance of abortion services. And beyond that, the FTC also claimed that Kochava made it incredibly easy and sometimes even free for basically anyone to find this sensitive data. Saying, yeah, there's a monthly subscription fee of thousands of dollars, but also they offer free samples. And that free sample offering until at least this past June allowed anyone with little effort to obtain a large sample of sensitive data and use it without restriction. The FTC even outlining one instance where it used that free sample to identify a mobile device that had visited a women's reproductive health clinic and then trace that mobile device to a single family residence. And the lawsuit saying, like, this isn't like some random feature, alleging that Kochava knew about this potential use, even literally marketing its services on Amazon Marketplace's information that can be used, quote, to map individual devices to household. With that, also accusing the data broker of failing to install proper safeguards to protect sensitive consumer data. With this, Kochava has responded to the suit, claiming the company has introduced the new capability to block geodata from sensitive locations and is working with the FTC to help the agency understand its business model. With that, adding that the lawsuit shows the unfortunate reality that the FTC has a fundamental misunderstanding of Kochava's data marketplace business and other data businesses, claiming that they operate within compliance with all rules and laws. Really, what we're looking at here is kind of just one of the first fights and what's going to be a larger information battle. Right, you've got the FTC promising to crack down on the illegal use or sharing of medical data, location data, and other sensitive information. You got President Biden issuing an executive order reinforcing similar data protection policies. And as places like Axios have explained, there are many data brokers out there. An FTC win with this case could open the door to many more lawsuits, especially as the agency considers new rules covering commercial surveillance. Which, when they put it like that, it sounds like the government's like, hey, that's our thing. You don't get to do that. Not that any part of our government does that. Ultimately, we'll have to wait to see, because this is the first step of a much longer journey, but that is where this story and actually today's show ends. As always, thank you for watching and subscribing to my daily dives into the news. Also, if you need more news, I got you covered here or in the links down below. But of course, as always, my name is Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.
G'day, you motherfuckers. Butsman here, and before I get into this video, I am finishing off my Australian and New Zealand tour over the next couple of weeks. So please go and check out, if you are in one of these towns, or this town, or that town, or this town, or I don't know how many towns, but I'm going to a few, alright? So come along, see me live for the last time in 2022. Now, if you recall the last time I made this video right here about fat talk, it upset some people in the ranks of Liberation Army. People made videos, people were upset, people commented on those videos about how upset they were, and I think it's about time we did it again. Fucking shall we? For those of you unaware, there is a huge movement all over social media, but particularly located on TikTok, all about obese people not being, welcomed into society, or, just people being nice to them, but celebrated. Put up on a pedestal, a strong pedestal, but a pedestal nonetheless for people to look up to. And that is my whole problem with this. People who are obese saying there's nothing wrong with me, and if you're like me, you shouldn't change. That's incorrect. That's how people die at a young age, and that's why I don't like it. There is something extremely harmful about people like Lizzo. Fat activists like her or Tess Holiday pushing the idea and the attitude that being extremely obese is safe. Because it's not. But enough about the serious and me trying to explain that I don't hate fat people. Let's forget about that. Let's jump into the whole concept of hashtag fat talk. This movement, this rolling ball of extreme weight that has taken over social media. Shall we? Oh, this one's from the Straits Times. That is the Strats. Okay. Not everyone is fat because they are gluttonous, lazy, and lack self-discipline. It's not always something you can control, says actress Ross Nier. Well, Ross, get a woman's name, alright? For fuck's sake. But also, I absolutely disagree. When you give up, these are the type of things that you say, alright? When you give up on anything in life, these are the things you say. You can't, I can't do it, it's impossible to do. That sounds like giving up, Ross. No one expects you to have a fucking six-pack, but if you just give up, you're never going to achieve anything in life. You're never going to get back with Rachel. That's a Friends reference. Moving on. Remy Bader, a TikTok star known for her realistic clothing videos. Realistic, okay. Claimed that during a recent trip with other influencers, a ranch wouldn't allow her to ride the horse due to her weight. I guess horses are fat-phobic, but also there's another part of me that says hashtag horse lives matter. Please don't squish them. Whose fault is it that you're too heavy to ride a horse? Yours, dickhead. But whose fault is it for you to think that it's the horse's fault? It's TikTok's fault, because they are the ones who push this shit, and they are the ones who are infesting the minds of young people and bored people across the world. Everything pro-fat lives, breathes, and grows there. Let's head over to TikTok, shall we?
Before I show you guys these clips, I just need to make it very clear that these videos are extremely triggering, they're violent, and they're disgusting, so this is your warning.
Ideally, they have titties that protrude further than their big belly.
Right, we hope.
If not, they need to be shot in the head like cattle. I'd love for a guy in full samurai armor and a katana just to dissect them right over the navel. And then if they could stay alive long enough for you just to tit fuck them and mouth fuck them, and then they perish from this earth.
Okay, that is a friend of mine, Danny Mullen. Now, Danny Mullen is a comedian on YouTube. What he is saying there, although inflammatory, like your diet, is, and I just want to preface it with saying, is absolutely without a doubt a joke. He's trying to say the most outrageous things possible just to upset people. And that's what that video did right there. He obviously is not meaning the things he is saying, he's just fucking around. Have you never said something in front of your friends just to make them go, oh my god, I can't believe you just said that, that's so fucked up? If you haven't, sounds like you got shit friends.
Jesus, that's all you need, because the bottom half of a fat girl, is there anything more worthless?
Listen to his music. They're laughing at how fucked up that is. It's because they know that he's talking shit, he's joking.
If you guys know me, you know that I'm rarely at a loss for words, but this really did it for me. This is so fucked up, and I'm asking you guys to please go and report their video.
Fucking tattletales. Obviously it's a joke. Get over it, you fucking soot. The great thing about jokes is they are pretend. They're not real, and you can get away with saying anything because it's not what you actually mean. Okay? Try and fucking digest that, you grub. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. 6 ways to be a fat ally. So that fat people needed allies, but sure, treat fat people with respect and dignity. I think we can all get around that. Call out fat phobia when you see it and hear it. I displayed fat phobia yesterday. There was a lady at McDonald's. I was going through to get a coffee, right? And she was a large lady. You could see her enormous head. She had a large fat husband with her. They went through and they got about $80 worth of McDonald's, all right? And I, for some stupid fucking reason, picked the lane behind their big fucking car with their big fucking fat asses in it, and I was stuck there for 10 minutes while they ordered, and the other line was just going through and going through and going through, everyone getting normal-sized fucking meals, all right? And you know what I did? Did I sit there calmly, relax, and go, hey, everybody gets hungry? No! I said, these motherfucking fat hurry up and move. So yeah, I'm a bit of a fat folk. Seek out fat stories from fat people. No. I will go the exact opposite direction. I will not listen to stories from anyone who doesn't have a fucking 8-pack. Alright? Never again. Believe fat people. No! What?
8-pack's a myth.
I've got an insulin problem. Oh, I'm
Must
always
get a 7.
hungry. Oh, no diets work.
The bottom 2
I don't
packs that
believe
people
any
think you
of
get. It's just
Ask
one.
restaurants and bars,
Unless people get
special
surgery down the middle.
venues, etc., to provide
Well, genetics have favoured you very well.
seating options. No, bring
Most
your
of the time,
trailer and sit
you
with
get a
that, you
7-pack.
fat grub. This is the last one. Take fat friends and family to fat accessible spaces. Take you to SeaWorld. Get in the pool. But I do agree with some of that. You don't want to be fat phobic all the time. The problem with fat phobia is it includes a lot of things. If you are a doctor and a giant fat person walks into your office and they sit down on your chair and obviously break it and break through the floor, and you say, hey, maybe the reason you're in here today might have something to do with the fact that you're extremely obese. That's fat phobia. Saying to someone, wow, you've lost weight, that's fat phobia as well. Men not being attracted to fat women is also fat phobia. Women not being attracted to fat men, that's fine. That's fine. Being fat and trying to lose weight, that's also fat phobia. Point being, trying to avoid fat phobia and defend the fatties from fat phobia is nearly impossible because they're always moving the goalposts, which is actually quite strange considering they have to get up and move to said goalposts. Anyway, the fact of the matter remains that because some people on the fringes of these fat movements and all that shit are so outrageous, they make the whole idea of fat positivity redundant, stupid.
What is something you will not apologize for? I'll go first.
Being fat. I love being fat. If me being fat or me loving my fatness makes you uncomfortable, that's a you problem, not a me problem.
Okay, maybe it is a me problem, but it will become a you problem when you're so proud of your fatness that it ends your life at an earlier point than your life should have ended. And I know you can sit there and pretend to be proud of it because it's easier than sorting out your diet and losing weight, but you're not, are you? Lie. And one of the worst things we can do to ourselves is lie to ourselves. The other worst thing we can do is be quite obese because according to, well, anyone who's anyone in the medical field, 9 of the top 10 causes of death have obesity as a major risk factor, including COVID. So yeah, you could be proud of it and say it's a me problem, but it's definitely a problem.
Actually, I do want to be fat because bellies are beautiful.
Are they? Are they really beautiful? Are they so beautiful? I reckon you're wrong. But you can actually tell a lot about a person by the size of their belly. The bigger the belly usually indicates that they can't control anything in their life. They have no self-discipline and they don't care. It also could say that they, drink too much alcohol. Maybe they're addicted to food. It can tell us a lot about a person. One thing it cannot tell us about a person is whether or not they're a good person or not. Absolutely. That is not, I just want to make sure you understand that I don't hate fat people. I hate the idea of fat people giving up trying to lose weight and saying, no, I'm perfect. I hate that because it's going to end terribly for you and your family. That's me being honest. But yes, your belly speaks volumes about your own mentality in life. You might say at this point I've only shown ladies complaining about this, and this is because men don't. They don't complain about this shit because no one takes them seriously. Because men are realistic and they go, you're a fat cunt, lose some weight. And ladies, you're too nice. You see this and you go, oh babe, so brave, so powerful, so empowered. No! You're lying to everyone. Is she? Is that what a median sized person looks like? Because if that's what a medium sized person is, then a large person has to be extremely obese. I'm just saying she's obviously an obese lady, which there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying you're not medium sized. You're trying to make yourself feel better by changing what you are called. It's like trying to give yourself a nickname. Oh, I'm Big Dick. Yeah, you can call me Big Dick. I'm not fat, I'm medium. Fuck off. I would hazard a guess and say you're over 35% body fat. That's not a medium, is it?
Being body positive is not an excuse to neglect your health.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm a community health worker and I'm studying public health. And I want to talk about this video and what's wrong with it.
There's something wrong with a lady saying that you should take action and not neglect your health, and you're a public health officer, or soon to be. Looks like the future's in great hands.
Right. Being body positive is not an excuse to neglect one's health, but that implies that every fat person is unhealthy, and that's simply not true.
Sure, so not every fat person has been diagnosed with an illness, and there are plenty of really fit people out there with illnesses. And just to add in on top of all this, I don't think people should be skinny. That's not what I'm saying at all. I think people should be strong. They should be fit. That's what I want for the world. That's what I try to push out in these videos and these messages. To be fit, to be strong, to be healthy. Not skinny. No one wants to be fucking skinny. If you look like an AIDS victim, you're doing it wrong. And not every person who happens to be fat has diabetes. But if you keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and don't do anything about it, if your chance at the start of your life was 10%, that chance will gradually increase until you probably get diabetes. Obviously.
I myself am a fat person, and while I can't speak for every fat person...
Hang on, zoom in for a second. Can you clean your fucking steering wheel?
I've never had issues with high blood pressure, heart disease, or diabetes. Ever.
Dude, you're 20. That doesn't mean you won't. What a ridiculous statement to make. That's like saying I've run across the road blindfolded 100 times and never been hit by a car, so I'll never be hit by a car. No, that's a dumb duck's attitude, alright? You're going to get hit by a car eventually, so stop doing it.
And if I had any problems with those illnesses, that does not mean that I'm less of a person or that I have failed or my body has failed in any type of way. That rhetoric is ableist and fatphobic and rooted in so many other issues, and the idea that fat people have neglected their health upholds the stereotype that all fat people are lazy and slobs, and that's not fucking okay.
Your username here is Feminist Land Whale. Shut up. You look like every young fat dude in year 6 at school. To think that people might actually listen to you makes my brain hurt.
Long story short, a patient came in to get the MRI hospital that this guy worked at. Patient didn't fit in the machine, allegedly, and so they referred the patient to another place where they would have a machine that would accommodate them with their size. Dude looked up the address for them because they're like, it's fine, hey, where is it? And he sees that it's whatever it was called, like Marine Land or whatever the fuck.
Okay, so someone here was so big that they didn't fit into an MRI machine, okay, and they get sent to Marine World to get MRI'd by a giant fucking MRI. Which must suck, must be very embarrassing, but what do? You need to scan, right?
Anyway, one time I needed like some kind of scan or whatever, and they were like, you're not going to fit in the machine, which is bullshit, because the week before I did fit in the machine and I had not changed weight at all. This doctor was just horrifically fatphobic.
Why is it whenever someone questions someone's health when they're fat and says it might have something to do with obesity, they call it fatphobia? Maybe it's about time you started listening to these people rather than fucking arguing against them.
They were like, here's a referral to go and get the scan elsewhere. And I was like, oh, do you have any recommendations? And they were like, try the zoo. Anyway, doctors are fatphobic, the health system is fucked.
Oh yeah, I guarantee that didn't happen. Guarantee it. Okay, let's forget her bullshit and go on a little side quest here. Her name's Gigi Peach, okay? She's got 280,000 followers. She's fat, disabled, mentally ill, queer, non-binary, a sex worker icon. Jesus Christ. Can somebody get her some fucking just Prozac now? Although through my research I did find something quite peculiar. Just to make a quick little diversion away from old Gigi Ping, fat lady, whatever her fucking name was, let's have a look at a little subgroup that has emerged from Fat Talk. It's World of Feeders. Feeders you may have heard of before. It's where a man and a woman get together and the man wants to make the woman really, really, really big because he likes fat chicks. That's what a feeder is. Well, that's the classic example. But that's changed because these women aren't in relationships. They're on OnlyFans. They're on TikTok. And they grow their following by
just as I finish my set.
Much like
Good timing.
avocado. This is perhaps the most unhealthy life and most
How's saving
awful
all them points?
existence I can imagine. Growing yourself extremely fat to finger yourself in front of strangers for $5 a month. Wow, ladies, time to have a bit of a look at yourself. Okay, so here it is. She's trying to get up out of a chair. Ooh, it's actually like me getting out of bed. Woozy, fuck Butterfield. Have a look at this poor woman. The hashtags say body positivity curvy. That's not fucking curvy. That's if that's curvy, so is the earth. All right. Oh my god. They're undies. They're all. Oh, they're not undies. They're fucking pants. That's gross. Ugh. Next one. That's fucking awful. Jesus. So she's got a Snapchat here, Lushio Lauren or whatever it is. Feederism,
Cheers for the 20 crunches, Sleepy. Hope you're having a good day.
Belly stuffing. God, I've got a stiffy at the moment. This is great. Let's have a look. Let's keep looking. This is a fucking. I've got a whole list of them here. Wrong with you? Okay, last one on the list. It all stems from this weird hashtag SSBBW, which stands for Supersize Big Beautiful Women, and that gives them the power by allowing them to grow at home and film it for TikTok and Snapchat and sell things on home. Man, if you're doing that, there's issues. There's big issues, you lazy fuck. But it's not just women, it's Avocado again. This bloke right here, if you don't know him, he does the exact same thing. He feeds and feeds and feeds himself. He grows and grows and grows, and he makes content about that, sells himself in a way, people laughing at him, not like the chicks finger themselves. Same sort of premise though. He's making, he has OnlyFans as well. I've seen his butthole. That's confronting. Same sort of thing. Okay? They sell themselves and they rely on the size of their bodies to make a living. That's not good. That's going to end in death. Don't be a feeder, if that needs to be said. Ladies and gentlemen, I've got a favour to ask. If you see any really good clips or videos anywhere on the internet to do with anything, send them to my Instagram at @theButtsman. I want to see them. Ladies and gents, every motherfucker piece in the Middle East, mid-60s. And all we want from these videos, these fat talk videos, is for you to know that there is a way to be a healthier version of yourself. See you later. Stick it up your ass. Bye. G'day ladies and gentlemen, the Buttsman here. How are you good motherfuckers going on? Well, thanks for asking. I am finishing off my tour this year with New Zealand and Perth and back in Sydney, and I'm also in bloody Wollongong and the Sunshine Coast and the gorgeous Toowoomba. I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, come and see me live if you haven't already. I will not be touring for the next 18 months or so, so come and see me if you haven't done that. It'll be great to see you, and come and see some live stand-up comedy. I'm pretty good. Not the best. I'm alright. I'll make you giggle. Now, ladies and gents, the video that we're covering today is interesting because I have an interest, a fascination, if you will, not a creepy one, but a fascination in what it's like to live your life as someone who is non-binary. What happens on a day-to-day basis for you? What goes through your head? And how do you come to the decision that you are, in fact, non-binary? And non-binary, of course, is defined as someone who doesn't identify as a man or a woman. They see themselves as something in the middle. And we as humans know that
I'm going to do 5 sets.
Is defined as your
I'm already
XY
here.
or XX chromosomes. You're
That's
either
another
male
cell top.
or female. Non-binary people or gender fluid people, same sort of thing. They believe that none of that exists. They ignore science, and it is in their right to do that to enjoy their life. And as much as I understand that it's a bit silly, I agree with them if it makes them happy. I'm not going to bend over backwards to make their life as simple as possible. And I'm not going to change language just to make them feel better. But what I will do is be polite and nice. My only problem with the whole non-binary situation is when parents push it on kids. That is my number one thing. It's the same with the transgender movement. As long as that's not affecting kids, I don't give a fuck, right? I do not care. You're an adult. You do what you want to do with your life as long as it's not affecting anyone else, and particularly affecting children. Anyway, according to a study in 2021, 1.2 million Americans identify as non-binary. So, let's have a look at what happens on a non-binary person's day-to-day. And of course, for any serious video, I always turn to these guys. Smile Squad Comedy. Let's have a look, shall we?
Okay, let's go. Whoa! Wait a second. You don't have any nipples.
I think that's a fair question. I think if any of you mates take their shirt off and they don't have nipples, I think it's a fair enough question to ask. Hey, Raz, where are your nips at?
Yeah, when I got my surgery, I didn't want them. Why not? Because guys have nipples and girls have nipples, and I don't. Let's go.
Weird way to think about it. What a strange sentence. Guys have nipples and girls have nipples, and I don't because I'm in the middle. I wonder how many people don't have nipples. I imagine Will Smith doesn't have any nipples. I reckon Jada Pinkett Smith, decided, hey, Will, you don't have any fucking nipples, mate. I'm the only motherfucker in this house having fucking nipples, and you better grow some hair. I'm the only bald bitch in this house. But I can only deduce that the they, them in this video was born female, had breasts, had nipples, had them cut off so that they can feel more the gender that they want to be, okay? To become in the middle. It sounds like a lot to go through to become something that is only a social construct, man, but hey, whatever. Is cutting your tits off making you a man? Obviously there are other surgeries that women have, like a vasectomy, like that doesn't make it, that's not. But you're sort of in the transition phase, are you not? If you cut your boobs off because you don't feel like a woman. Surely.
Hey, Kaylin, meet my non-binary friend, Noah. Or just Noah. They use they, them pronouns. Okay, alright, you're trying a little bit too hard. I am he and his.
How fucking painful is that shit? I cannot call you they, them. I know I talk about, hey, you gotta be polite and shit. That it's not grammatically correct. You see people bitching and moaning all the time on the internet about there and there. They think that's like a win, like the apostrophe's not there and everyone's freaking out. And then the same people will say, hey, you got to call them a they. No. If you are trans and you live your life as a woman, I'll call you her. Or if you're a woman and you want to live yourself as a man, I'll call you he. But you're not being a they. All right, fuck off. Pick one. That's it. As for old mate here being confused as to how to act or how to introduce them and freaking out and panicking, that's probably a real life situation for a lot of people, particularly in the corporate world or worlds where you need to virtue signal how woke you are or how progressive or amazing you are in this new world with new words. I think that having to introduce people with their correct pronouns would be a risky business. It would be quite scary. They are so scared to mess up someone's fucking pronouns because they know it will be the end of their career. They will be fucking fired. They'll be sacked. They'll be removed from their position because they use the wrong pronouns. They use the incorrect terminology, which is horrifying and silly and unnecessary. There's no way you can be happy or be yourself if you're constantly walking around on eggshells. Fuck that mess. And I can guess that most non-binary people or they-thems out there don't really care. They just want to live their lives. And I think this is the massive misunderstanding about LGBTQIA us play fucking people, is they just want to live their life. And it's these fringe fucking insane humans that make what they're doing and living their life seem ridiculous. And in reality, they just want to have a normal existence.
Hey, Noah! I found this picture in your room. Ex-girlfriend, huh? That's me.
What a strange photo to have of yourself, just seemingly sitting in a random park, and that's in your room. Who the fuck does that?
This is you? Yeah, that's me pre-T. Talk about Transformation Tuesday.
Pre-T. That's what they call testosterone in the transgender community. It's the male sex hormone that, female people who are looking to transition into males start taking. Now, they love T, or testosterone. They really love it, in fact, because sometimes there's a lot of people, and this is what the research suggests, is that a lot of people who are transgender or wanting to be transgender, or they feel like they're trans and they're stuck in their own body, they may be quite depressed or anxious or have mental health issues associated with that dysphoria, if you will. Now, one of the things that testosterone does, and it does really well, is when you first start taking it, you feel fucking bulletproof. You feel amazing, you feel happy, there's no more anxiety. And you see people who go through these transitions and they say, yes, testosterone saved me, it made me feel so happy. But over time, what happens with testosterone is your body becomes used to it. And all of these past issues start coming back, and that's why you see some people who are so so obsessed with transgenderism and they just know that this is what they need to do in their life to make them happy. Eventually the testosterone levels, the body becomes used to it, and they go back to not being happy or being anxious or depressed or whatever, and they go, holy shit, have I cut my tits off for no reason? I imagine that's something that a lot of people, and this is what the science suggests, a lot of people run into at some point. This is why we need to make sure that these big decisions don't happen or don't fall into the hands of people who shouldn't be making them. For example, children. It's not just happiness that is the benefit from testosterone. They start to lose body fat around the waist and hips. Their muscle mass naturally increases. They have more body hair, more libido. Bones will strengthen. But yeah, they'll also feel quite happy and excited and wonderful for a shorter period of time until it stops.
What are you watching? Why are you shirtless?
After top surgery, I never want to wear a shirt.
Listen, mate, put a fucking shirt on. I don't care what gender you are. Anyone who runs around without a shirt on is a wanker.
But aren't you, like, always cold?
Not when you're this hot.
Yeah,
Oh my god, can I just say I fucking love how they use sound effects in this video. It really makes the video that much better. I love how they play it after every fucking word. Just brilliant filmmaking. Really brilliant.
Yeah, I would freeze. Hey! Oh, the girlfriend made you buy tampons again, huh?
Those are for me.
I hope. Who is?
Special guest whiskey. Here for my last set.
Where's this dude? Why is he such a dead shit? Whose nipples are those? Where's your tampons? Testosterone? What's that? Please peg me. Get a grip, mate.
Nosebleeds. Works like a charm.
Right. Nosebleeds.
Let's go, Broncos! Come on!
Come on, Pat, let's go!
Did your voice just crack?
Yeah, it's because of the testosterone that I'm taking?
It sounds like you're going through puberty.
Yeah, there's no chance that these two watch anything that is close to sport. There's no chance.
Caitlin, hey! Meet my friend Noah!
Hey, you didn't tell me how cute he is.
Oh, I'm not a he. I'm non-binary.
Non-what?
I'm not a man or a woman. I'm right in the middle.
Oh, you didn't tell me how cute your non-binary friend is.
Is that something you have to disclose that you're non-binary? I think you probably should, particularly if you're in the dating scene. Like, imagine if you picked up a one-night stand and there's this beautiful woman, or appearing like a woman, and you get them home, you take their pants off, maybe they've had breast implants, you take their pants off, and there's a bigger dick than yours. That's horrifying. It's like waking up on Christmas morning expecting all the amazing presents.
Cheddar's not the nicest to whiskey.
You get a big lump of coal in the back.
Whiskey
of your
wants
throat.
nothing but love from Cheddar.
Not a good time.
But Cheddar.
What are you doing?
I gotta pee.
Yeah.
A few moments.
His ways have been set.
Whoa, that was so fast.
Well, the line for the ladies' room was way too long, so I just used the guys.
How?
If there's not a gender-neutral bathroom, the world is my oyster.
What a stupid question. How? What do you mean, how? How the fuck do you think? She sat down. Pissed out of a bad. Just a quick side note. I see a lot of ladies complaining, and oftentimes this happens after a big sporting event. They complain about not having enough stalls in the women's bathroom, and all the men just go in and wee, and they do their wee-wees, and then they can walk out straight away and get back to their. But the ladies have to line up. Ladies, I understand that's annoying. But here's the thing. Try a bit fucking harder. Learn how to piss standing up or shut up. Alright? With that extra time, we don't have to spend waiting at the fucking pisser. We spend, engineering, saving the planet and stuff like that, alright? So you ladies just enjoy that, alright? And talk about your knitting or whatever you get up to and chill out. Grow up, ladies, or better yet, stand up.
Okay, so what was your name like before you were you?
Yeah, and like what's going on like down there?
Oh, yeah, and are you more of a man or more of a woman?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're all valid questions. And I think it really has a lot to do with how well you know the person, with how you should ask those questions and when you get the answers. If I had a mate who was originally a male and then became a female and they had the surgery, it would take me, I reckon, 2 months to ask, can I please see your vag? Show us what the doctor made ya.
Oh, so you're gay. I have so many gay friends.
Yeah, see, I understand
Cheers,
that.
Sleepy.
I try to embrace my femininity
Handing it to me today, aren't you?
too.
No, that's not how it works.
So you just like girls?
Yeah.
So you're gay?
No.
That's all very confusing. If she was born a female, has a vagina but likes women, she's not a lesbian. Very interesting. What a concept.
Oh, shoot! I'm so sorry.
No, I'm just taking my tea.
Oh!
Okay, can I just been doing my head in the entire time? She or he, they, them, not look like Australian comedian and my mate Frenchie. Look at this. They are the exact same fucking person.
Tea! I love tea. Chamomile, Earl Grey.
No, my testosterone, or my hormones.
Who the fuck writes these videos? They're fucking terrible. And do they have Tourette syndrome and do the sound effects represent their Tourette syndrome in their writing?
You're transitioning.
I'm still non-binary.
I thought your name was Noah.
I think this video has done a great job at
Cheers for the 20 crunches, Sleepy.
the fuck out of everyone.
Here's your points. Please don't save them up.
I know, me too.
I'm afraid of that
There's
day.
something that I have to tell you, though.
Oh, God. Do you still live with your parents?
No, I'm non-binary.
Oh, I already knew that.
Okay, you want to split a burger?
I'm vegan.
I did not know that.
Let's remember this. Treating someone with disrespect just because they're LGBTQIA+ is not okay. Treating them with disrespect and hate if they're a vegan is okay. Just remember that. In fact, it's
Hey.
Go and get one of these anti-vegan hoodies on my website.
Yeah.
All proceeds go to me.
So now that you're trans, does that mean you're gay?
I still like girls. Gender and sexuality are two completely different things.
I like shopping in chick flicks. Does that mean I'm gay?
That just means you're a good guy.
Hang on. So now you are, they are trans. Non-binary is trans. You get stuck with bad internet and are still loading. Is it dial-up? Also, yes, you go. Another chick flick part, nothing wrong with that. The shopping. No straight man enjoys shopping. It's fucking horrendous. The thing I hate about women's shopping, I go with my wife all the time, is I don't understand how women's clothes work. Like, you look at it on the rack, you go, how the fuck does that go on? Anyway, being non-binary must be tough, and I have all the time in the world for you guys, the they them, alright? I won't call you they them, but I respect you and I hope you live an enjoyable life. I really do. And I'm sure running into old boomers fucking sucks, but people are going to have questions. People are going to have questions, and I think if you are living such an for life, because it is part of school, you should just at least, if you want, try to answer them. But don't get so upset when people ask you things. I think most people genuinely are just curious and they don't hate you for it. Someone hates you for that, fuck them. They probably hate a lot of things in this world. They're probably not very happy people, so fuck them. But I will say this, one negative thing to end this video with. The Smile Academy or Smiles fucking whatever this stupid YouTube channel is called is the worst thing on YouTube. So let's all collectively, whether we are LGBTQIA+, or straight or cis or white or black, give them a collective fuck you to the moon. Be a good motherfucker, peace in the Middle East, with extinct. These Peace in the Middle East t-shirts are coming out on September the 11th. I don't know whose idea that was, but see ya, bye.
Special guest appearance whiskey. It's our little white Pomeranian. There's the mum, front house. So that whiskey, I think he's 9 or 10 years old. Only many years ago. Keeping my mum pretty, what do I say, occupied? I don't want to say occupied, company. Giving my mum company. So, anyway, let's go into things that it's too much information. That's another workout down. It's about 6 sets. 6 sets each. 25 to 30 reps, except for the ab wheel. So 20 to 30 reps on most exercises. I was only going to go 6 sets because, you know, at the beginning you never really feel like it. But then as you get doing it, you sort of want to make the workout as best as you can to get the most amount of gains, I guess, if you'd like to put the most amount of progress as you can out of it. You never want to really waste a workout. I've got him under the command of my whistle. Anyone see your white fluffiness? Right, that's it for today. Winter's finally over. Start of spring tomorrow here. Have a good rest of the week. Do your best to try to get up and out of your chair. Go for a walk. Exercise and everything, I guess diet's probably like 80% of it, like most people will tell you. But I think diet just determines how much exercise you really need. If you have a really good diet, then you really just don't need exercise. But unlike me, who likes to eat unhealthy, I like to keep it a balance, so that's why I like to train. I like to eat, so I gotta train. I get to enjoy myself without too much repercussions. Not that I know of yet. Anyway, till next time, have a good day. Probably see you guys Friday morning.